Hey, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Clinic Gym Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Satterlee. I'm here with the doctor of websites, Jon Morrison from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. John, how are you?
Great, Dr. Josh. It's always good to be here. Thanks so much for having me. So I love it when the request comes in to be a guest on your podcast, because we're always going to have a great conversation. And I love talking to your people because they are some of the finest people in the chiropractic / physio / clinic gym world.
I believe so, man. And I think we could just end the podcast there, but we will continue to go on. I know that you are, I think this will mark the highest number of repeat by one guest of anybody on the podcast. So I love it. And I really appreciate it, because what I love is you're a marketing expert, but it's not about, hey, buy this software, do this email autoresponder. It's, hey, number one, clarify what the heck you say, what you do, make it ridiculously clear to your patient, to your customer, to people that might be your customer. And that improves the entire process. I mean, it's like if you're looking to make the greatest hamburger, start with the best ingredients, and then everything else is going to be a whole lot easier. But if you don't have that, you're going to be chasing your tail on trying to cook it just the right way so it doesn't taste dry.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is the best hamburgers don't always get all the customers, right? It's the hamburgers that market themselves the best that actually get people. And the best sports teams don't always win, and the best politicians don't always win. It's usually just the way this broken world works, is you have to fight to get to the top. And I believe that the people that are listening to this are the kind of people that deserve to be at the top, right? They really care about people, and they want to help more people. And why not guys like you and me to come around and help them as best we can? So that's why I love this community, is because I think these are the good guys. These are the guys wearing the white hats, and gals, I should say. The good guys and gals that wear the white hats that you cheer for and you want them to win. And so that's why I love coming on and helping you out.
I hear you, baby. That's what it's all about, is getting the right people in front, because we're about maximizing the value of the chiropractic license. And the only way that happens is we got to get the best players out front with thriving and making the most money, getting the most patients, seeing the most patients come through their doors, rather than kind of the busiest places maybe being the least representative of what we can do as a profession. So I love it. So what I wanted to cover today, if you don't mind, John, is there is a huge, in any town you go to, there's a huge number of chiropractors, right? And some of them are niche down, this might work in golf, or this one might work, but no matter what, there's just a ton of them. And in generally in marketing, the most successful person will always be regarded as an authority in their area, right?
Right.
And what I'm wondering is, we have a lot of people on this call. You've met a lot of the clinic gym hyper people. They're some of the most certified folks around, right? They've been to the most training. They've done the most classes. They've gotten the best results. But maybe their community doesn't know them as an authority. They just think they're like everybody else. So I was recently talking to a friend. I just want to share the story with you. I have a friend who's in the mortgage business. He was ranked nationally by this mortgage group as the number one mortgage advisor, like 3 years in a row. He spoke at national mortgage conferences about how to, provide great customer service to your client, how to do a bunch of stuff. He, like, in the world of mortgages, this guy was Superman. He's sitting getting his hair cut one day, and his hairdresser goes, "Yeah, I was going to send my sister to you, but we had another guy sitting in the chair here, and I totally didn't think about you, Trent, and I just sent her to him." And he's sitting there going, "What more do I need to do? Like, I've spoken nationally, I've done this." And then he realized all that was internal in the mortgage business. It wasn't external to the hairdressers. It wasn't external to the teachers and the people in his community. So nobody knew that he was the number one guy in the nation sitting in their own community. And until he went on and wrote a book, but he had to go through a lot of work over 2 years to really become the established expert or the authority to his community, which I think he overlooked. So what are some ways people can become an authority?
Yeah, it's just interesting. That's the goal, right? How do you go from being a mortgage broker to the mortgage broker? And the same way you want to go from being a chiropractor to the chiropractor that you want to go to. Right. And usually it sounds counterintuitive, but really the more specific that you get, the more success you'll have, and the more impact you'll have, and the more income you can you can make because you'll charge more for your specialty. And that's really what we want to talk about is how do you become the expert at a particular thing? And you don't just have to have one particular thing, right? But you do have to start with one. And that's what we want to talk about is I think the best thing to do is to become an authority as a guide who trains people to solve a particular problem. Now, those who are listening have been around for a while know that I'm a big fan of the story brand framework. And the thing that people love about the framework is that it really turns things around from I have to be the hero of the story to save everybody to I'm actually going to be the guide to help people win their story. And we always talk about how the guides have two characteristics that people really grab onto that they need. They need empathy, which means I make a human-to-human connection. So we call that like bedside manner. Right? You want to make a connection with the person that's helping you. You want to know that they know you, that they can articulate your problem even better than you can. They understand you. And then secondly, you need to have authority. And authority means that you can solve the problem. You don't just want to sit around and talk to a peer all the time or an equal. You want actually somebody who can who is not thrown by your problem, who's not scared of your problem, but encounters it all the time and is in the business of solving it. So that's how you want to position yourself as the guide, the expert who helps people solve this particular problem. And in our age, one of the currencies that we trade in this information age, in the content revolution, is education. And the thing about education that's great these days is that you don't actually have to be face to face with people. You can actually educate them through a screen, which means that you'd only have to record on that screen one time, and then you can reap the benefits from that time over and over again. So I'm really on a big online courses kick. In fact, I started a master's in business, so I'm working on my second master's now, and I'm doing it all virtual. And
you're going to have to do 4 or 5 master's degrees to get to the amount of student loan debt that us chiropractors have. Oh boy. I don't think you're anything special, okay?
That's the goal to really, truly understand what it's like to carry all that baggage into my next career or whatever.
Yeah.
No, but anyways.
Here's kind of what I see as like the recipe to be recognized as the authority.
Yeah.
And I think the great thing about being an authority is you can be an authority in a 500 square foot office or 50,000 square foot office. Your customer doesn't care. I mean, they don't look at the size. It's not, you can't pay for it. You have to do the work. But luckily, if you have a lot of education and a lot of information, you can do it, right?
Yeah.
And I like what you said about empathy and authority, because, we've all encountered that person that is an authority. Like they know what they've seen it 100,000 times, but they're kind of callous to it. So they don't have the empathy. That's like, you ever watch NCIS?
Yeah, we've seen it a couple times.
Yeah. He's an authority on fighting crime, right? But he has like no empathy for his guys. He's like, I don't care. But if you have that relationship, I think it's important to also reflect that empathy. But you don't want to just be known as the nice idiot, right?
Right.
Hey, he's the nice guy in the world, but he doesn't know anything.
Right. Yeah. It's like the nutritionist that needs to lose 30 pounds just like you, right? It's like, I know what it's like to walk up a flight of stairs and be totally winded.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And do you know how to get over this? And the nutritionist's like, no, if you figure it out, like, could you let me know? Because I really do want to learn. What am I here for?
Great. Yeah. So if we can have a site that's ranking, right? That's getting some hits on Google, and then and we're good about communicating, people sending out their newsletters and their text messages through Clinic Gym Connect, by the way. But they're regular communicating. The differentiating factor there is really education, right? If the more we can educate, then when people come to our site, they'll invest in us, they'll believe us more. When we communicate, if we educate, they'll believe in us more. And like you said, communication is kind of objective. You just offer this information. You're not saying you're the best, but the fact of you being the best is secondary to you being the person sharing the education.
Yeah. And I think, Josh, the thing that you started with by saying is you could have all kinds of ideas for your practice and success and all that stuff, aspirations and size of the gym that you wanted. But if you don't have a clear message, it's not going to work. And when we think about education, most of the times what people think about is, well, what tools should I use? Like, should I use just social media? Should I use my website? Should I use Thinkific or Kajabi or some other the new online course platforms? And while you totally could have a conversation about that, you really got to do the work of who am I wanting to reach? And then how am I going to help them? What problem am I going to solve to deliver a certain outcome? And I think that's where actually the most fun is, because that's where you start to really get to like, what is my core message and what is the problem that I love to solve and I want to help more people? It just lights me up when someone comes in. It's like you just get fired up by sciatica. I don't know why, but you would do that. But that's just your thing. Sciatica is your thing.
Yeah.
Or hips. You just love helping people with hip pain.
Right. For me, it's knowing that guys can golf as many rounds as they want a week without low back pain. Right. Like, I was able to golf 3 days in a row. Yes.
Right. So you take that idea, right? And it's like, hey, that is a legit problem for somebody on a golf weekend, right? They don't want to be known as the old guy that can't play on day 3, right? You want to be able to be crushing it still by the 18th hole of the last day. So you take that, and that's a good thing. There's a lot of people who struggle with that. So why not become the expert on helping people golf, or have endurance in golf, or whatever? And you're the expert in that, having the body to survive. And so what you need to do is you need to say, okay, who am I going after? There's a lot of people that don't play golf, so I'm not talking to them with this idea.
Right.
So I'm talking to these specific people who are regular golfers, probably of a certain age and means. And so that means I'm going to have to get specific in how and where I go to talk to them. But now I need to get clear on once I get in front of them, what is it that I'm going to say? And so you need to be clear on the pain point that they have. What is it that they're struggling with? Because it's stopping them from getting what they want. And then what are the steps that they need to take to get to that outcome that you want to help them with? So you not only know the problem, but you know the way out of it. That's the expert guide. That's that stuff they're going to pay for to get to where they want to go, right?
Now, I know that in developing courses that I've sold through our Clinic Gym Hybrid website, it helps you clarify what's going on too, right? And sometimes what you think is going to be one slide expands into 30 slides, and what you thought was going to be 15 slides is one sentence at the bottom of one slide. So, John, we were talking before we hit record here, but for those people listening, they're going, oh man, of course, it's so much work. It's so much effort. It's this and that. Let's motivate them a little bit, because you kind of shared 7 benefits or 7 reasons that people should consider putting a course on their website, right? And instead of just being great pictures of you and possibly you and your dog or you and your cat, if you're a psychopath who has a cat, really you're saying, let's have a course that's pertinent to the people who want to buy our services. So for chiropractors, like low back pain or neck pain or low back pain from golf, right? How do we, first, what are those benefits that people can see from doing the work to get a course up on their website?
Yeah, so I've been collecting these reasons based on conversations with chiropractors over the years, and even just what I know about online marketing and stuff. It sounds like, you might think, oh yeah, I'm going to do a course because it's good for marketing, but really that's only the first one, and there's 7. So let me just fire through them. The first reason why you should have an online course of some sort is for marketing's sake. And I know one chiropractor, mutual friend of ours, he gets leads off of his courses that he offers. So he offers them for free in exchange for an email address. And he just drips them the content in the hopes that they will then become part of his overall marketing campaign. So now, once you got that precious email address, you can talk to people as much as you want. As long as they're going to keep checking it and they're not going to unsubscribe, you can talk to them about all kinds of things, every kind of promo, every kind of announcement that you want to make. You have you have a captive audience with that email address.
Yeah. One thing too, I think that shouldn't get overlooked is those are filtered leads. You're not just getting a bunch of junk email addresses. You're getting people that are telling you, hey, I'm interested in somebody that can help me with low back pain, rather than just a bunch of email addresses, because there's nothing worse than trying to work up some leads and you realize, oh, half these people aren't even interested in what we do.
Right. Yeah. Right. And the call to action throughout your course is to come in and be a patient.
Right. Schedule an appointment.
Yeah, this back pain might be too acute for you to handle on your own with a couple of stretches and exercises. You need to come in. So then you can get a patient that way. So that's one, and it's a good one. Who doesn't want more leads which turn into more patients? But there's 6 more, and this is where it gets quite fun. The second one is to improve your impact. And that's just appealing to that person that you wanted to become before you ever got the student loan burdens and property to pay off and bills
part 4
to pay
of boards and passing, getting your license, applying for that.
Software subscription fees. Before you had to earn money, there was an altruistic side in you that just wanted to help a lot of people. And so you may put out a course there and do some heavy lifting with your recording and hosting it on your website and all sorts, whatever it costs to get it up there. But there may be some people that you reach that you never know. You'll never meet them because they're out of state or they just stumble upon your content. And you can sleep at night knowing that you actually did some good to help some people live a healthier, more active life.
I think it's really effective. Like, let's say you travel for the holidays. Let's say you come down to Las Vegas for Christmas and you meet somebody and you're like, I really want to help this person, but we're 2,000 miles away. You can go, hey, why don't you just use my course, download my course. I'll give you a free pass or whatever the method is. And now they can get the information that you're dying to give them and they can go back to it. Because one thing that a course does is it lets them repeat the lesson. I've done this on the online course all the time where you watch this. There might be 20 videos, but 3 of them I watch 4, 5, 6 times to really get the idea of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And you legitimately were helped because of it, right? Which is that's nice to know that you're doing some good for people in the world. And so to improve your impact is just a thing that, it's a nice thing to do. And it's a step towards the next one, which is to build trust. And so when you solve a problem for someone, like helping them with their back pain or giving them better ergonomics for their home office or something like that you've built out an idea that you've fleshed out in your course, what they're going to do is say, this person has been very helpful for me. And that gives you some chips with them. And chips mean basically like, you can spend some chips because you can ask them stuff or you can invite them to something else. And you've got all this clout with them or favor or authority, whatever you want to say. It's like, this person is an expert in solving this problem. What other problems can they solve? And because you've earned that favor with them, they'll be more willing to trust you with other things.
One thing that I notice in a lot of niches when you go down is the secret language that builds trust like crazy. So if you're working with triathletes and you talk about your run split, your bike split, how was your T1 time or T2, what distance did you do? And if you use the secret language that only triathletes use, they go from thinking like, oh, this guy might be good, but I don't know if he understands triathlon, to when they hear that come out of your mouth 3-4 times throughout your course, they're right on, right? They understand that this person gets it. They understand. In the Clinic Gym Hybrid group, we have a lot of people who are involved in a lot of barbell sports. And there's certain language you want to use. What's the difference between weightlifting and powerlifting, or, being underneath the bar, or, going for singles and doubles, like using that specific niche language can go so far to ingratiate those people from going, there's not 15 chiropractors in my town. There's one chiropractor who understands me. And that's, Dr. Jon Morrison. And they come in because there's no question anymore.
Right.
Yeah. What you hope they do is go to another chiropractor who's cheaper and not hear that language and then go, all right, I was wrong. I'm going to go back.
Totally. And you can charge whatever you want because you're the expert at solving that problem. So again, you go from being a chiropractor in town to the chiropractor in town who solves that problem and other ones like it. So earning trust, like I said, is a huge part of why people choose you as a chiropractor. They choose you because they trust you. You understand them and you can help them. So that's what a course does, is it shows that you are an expert at solving a problem. That's number 3. Number 4 is that it clarifies your thinking. There's been a lot of times where I thought I knew something and I tried to teach it to somebody, and I just found that I flubbed it completely. I mean, I got 3 kids under 5 here at home, and I try to teach them something just totally normal, and I find myself unable to do it. It's until I actually map something out from A to Z. Notice I picked the Canadian way to say it, from A to Z, or as you strange people say, Z. If you map it out from start to finish, you can actually see now I can see the path, how to do this. So if somebody comes in the next day and they have back pain, well, if I've already written a course on it, I know the process to get them out of it. And maybe you were just a jumbled bunch of thoughts before then, or maybe it's an injury from something very specific, like a CrossFit injury or something else that you didn't learn in school, but you kind of learned how to develop your course of treatment now because of it. If you have the course, I mean, that's a great exercise for you just to get the steps clear in your head. So clarifying of your own personal thinking makes you a better clinician. It will help a lot more people. And even if you don't sell the course to anybody, at least your thinking is clear on it. And that's, I think, a good benefit.
So here's an interesting one. And anybody out there that makes a course, here's what I'd recommend. Take it and offer it to somebody who's never been to any sort of biology classes, anatomy class, physiology, and just see where their questions are. I did a presentation at our gym one time, John, you'll love this. And I was talking about lumbar and cervical pain, lumbar and cervical. And this woman afterwards goes, "Hey, that was great, but I thought you were going to talk about the neck." And I was like, thinking, I said cervical 200 times today. Like we talked about the neck. So I said, I thought I talked about the neck. And she goes, "No, you just talked about like the front and back of the low back." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, lumbar's in the back, cervical's in the front, right?" And I was like, "No, cervical's your neck." And she goes, "No, my sister had cervical cancer and they did their surgery in the front of her stomach."
Oh,
I was like,
funny.
Her only reference to cervical was her cervix, which just means neck in Latin, right? But she thought that we were talking about the front of your, pelvis and the back of your pelvis.
Right.
And, but hey, who's paying? Like, it's not up to me to use the right language. Like I need to explain better. And at the beginning of every presentation after that, we would say, now just for reference, the lumbar is low back and the cervical is your neck. So if you hear us say that, that means,
when you get pregnant ladies be like, "Oh shoot, I think I'm in the wrong class."
Right. Yeah, but I just couldn't believe, like I had totally never thought, like I just made the assumption, everybody knows what the cervical spine is. Mm-hmm. And turns out, no, that's not true. So you need to make sure the language makes sense to your end user.
Right. Yeah. And that's under the clarity thing, right? Clarifying your communication too. So you're thinking about how you talk about it because you don't really know something until you can teach it to somebody that's not an expert.
Yeah. I've used analogies before, and my wife, luckily, is a great filter, and she'll be like, "That doesn't make any sense. It's nothing like what you said." Mm-hmm. So I'll go for 3 or 4 more and try and find the one that makes sense. So, anyways, what else? What's another reason?
Yeah. So number 5, the thing that I was thinking would help a lot of people is that it will save you some time. Like I know we love to talk about our own hobby horses, the things that we get passionate about, but after a while, like after a few years, it must get a little boring, right? I mean, even like my, talk about messaging, clarity and stuff. It's like, I've been talking to chiropractors for 4 years about this. Like I'm ready to move on to the next thing, but like the good news is I have it all recorded now. So instead of me having to repeat stuff over and over again, I can just say, go to this video and watch that because it's going to have all the content that you need. And I was very passionate about talking about it before, and I probably still could drum up some passion. But the truth is, it's much easier to point people to a recording because then I could do anything else, right? There's anything else I could do. I could spend more time with you. I could spend more time with my family. I could spend more time in a book. I could do anything else. If you're not doing one thing, you can do another thing, right? So if you find yourself doing the same thing, saying it to patients over and 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 over, year after year after year after year after year, why not take that and throw it on a recording and then say, "Hey, I've got a great teaching that I give to my patients. I'd like you to watch it. You can offer it for free, or you can put it behind a paywall and say it's $50. Mm-hmm. I just go through this. This is what we do. I could spend 10 visits telling you about it, or you could do it and take this course. And that way you could watch it when you're in pajamas. You don't have to drive all the way across town and sit in our waiting room and then drive all the way back after you heard me say it. So it's just something that will save you time because when you're not doing one thing, you can do something else. So
I remember talking to a business advisor, and he always made the point. He said, whenever you feel like you've repeated a message enough and you're getting sick of it, your employees have just started to hear it.
Right.
You could repeat it 100 times and they'll feel like you said it twice. Mm-hmm. And he goes, so if you're sick of it, you're just starting to get to the point where it's coming across. I bet our customers are no different. We can go on and on and on. And we feel, one of the things about chiropractic, you see 20 patients in a day and you advise all of them on what to do if they're sore. You think, I've said this 20 times a day. But those patients only at best heard it once. They may not have heard it at all, right? But they're like, no, I've only heard that once. So then you do it the next day and the next day and the next day. Well, maybe you only saw that patient twice that week. So you said it twice. They heard it once. But your perception is, I've said it 250 times today or this week, and it's driving me nuts. You're right. The course allows us to, hey, let me send you this. And it allows it to repeat and repeat and repeat. There's 7 lessons and you include that core message in each of those 7 lessons. Man, you're not the one burning out you're not burning out your mind and your soul thinking I've repeated myself 1,000 times, And if I could get somebody to, if I get a course to teach my kids to say please and thank you, that'd be great.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing I love about this community is because they love taking time to spend with their patients, right? They pride themselves on being educators as much as they are clinicians, hands-on clinicians. And so it's great to be an educator, but we can think outside of the box with education. Like the beautiful thing about education these days is I can learn from anybody at any time, anywhere around the world. You couldn't do that 25 years ago. Right. Yeah. But today you can, and you can still educate people. And the point of education is to get an outcome in their heads and in their lives. Right. So whatever it takes to get that outcome, I'll just be a pragmatist and say, if I could get some data to you or create some sort of transformation, it doesn't matter if we're face to face or screen to screen, or if you're watching an old Zoom video that I recorded years ago. Right? It doesn't really matter. As long as the transformation happens in your life, it's still just as valuable to you, and it can be just as powerful for me, even though we haven't done it eyeball to eyeball.
It drives me nuts that, the evidence-based or evidence-informed crowd, they love spending time. They're great teachers. And because of that, oftentimes they don't make as much money as the less desirable cats who are taking 2 minutes to adjust everybody and kick them out. And, man, if we could save a little bit of money or save a little bit of time and see a few more patients in a day, that allows us to make more money because the amount we get per visit is pretty much fixed. It doesn't matter if you take 2 minutes or 20, you're not getting 10 times the money to spend 20 minutes with somebody. Mm-hmm. So I love that factor. We can share that. So that's number 5 was save time. What's number 6?
Number 6 would be add another stream of revenue. So who doesn't want another stream of revenue as well? And so I'm sure when I said at some point, I think it was in point 5 that you could charge $50 for it, somebody lit up like a Christmas tree saying, I could get a little extra cash for that. And the truth is you can. And why not? Why not? Imagine if you could add $50 to every new patient that came in where you sold it to them. Maybe not on the first time, but maybe on the second or third. And you said, we have this course actually for exactly what you're dealing with. It's $50. There's 10 sessions worth of value in there. So rather than pay for all 10 sessions, why don't you pay for the $50? You could watch it at any time at your own speed. It's literally all the things that I would have told you about for a fraction of the cost. And then you made $50 and then they felt like they were getting something. And the truth is they're probably still going to come in for those times. But now you can be a lot more efficient and you don't have to spend time articulating every single thing because you can just say, you bought the course. Did you see it? Did it help? What did you learn? Here's how we're going to apply it today. So,
one time I wish I had this, or multiple times I wish I had this. Being here in Vegas, we get a ton of tourists and people visiting, and they, would go on the web and look for a chiropractor and see our reviews and be, I'm going to go to those guys. But you're only going to get one chance with them, Right. So no matter what it is, even if I serve them that day, if I could say, hey, listen, you're nowhere near done, but let me give you this course so that, I'll charge you $50, watch this course, and it'll guide you through the process of getting all the way better. That would have been so helpful. And I probably treated, I would guess, somewhere between 200 and 500 of those people that were in town for 1 or 2 days. I got 1 or 2 visits with them, and then they had to send off. And usually they loved the care. They loved everything about it. But I'm like, well, we got to break up because it's like going to camp and falling in love. And then you got to break up at the end of summer, If I could only have sold that little Susie Brown an online course with my face on it, she would have bought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I should just also say that we're talking about $50 courses, which are pretty much you never have to talk to the person. But there's other ways to do this, which is to charge for a couple $1,000s for a course where you're providing an outcome. And maybe it's going to take a little more hand-holding and you got to show up on Zoom or you do a group element of it or a Facebook group. But you're basically coming out with an outcome that's worth $6,000. So it's like, would you pay $6,000 to have this problem fixed? To improve your drive and to be able to golf with your buddies on a golf retreat without any pain. Would you pay $6,000 for that? I bet a lot of people would. Okay, well, we're going to do this course from start to finish. We're going to start exactly where you're at, and here's going to be the outcome, and here's how we're going to get there. It's going to cost you $6,000. Would you do it? And I bet a lot of people would say, yeah, that's no problem. If that's the outcome that I get, like, if you're going to tell me that I can do that, drive further and be able to play around without pain, I'm going to pay you that money for it.
Mm-hmm.
So then the course, your online part is part of it, and your teaching part, maybe live over Zoom or get them in for a treatment or something. But how you structure it doesn't really matter. But you can use the course, right, as your product to sell with the outcome that you're promising.
Yeah. The other way it makes money besides the direct sale is the fact that you can take these courses and splinter them off, right? Take a little tiny little nugget out of lesson 4 and post it up on your Instagram, or take a little tiny lesson out of, lesson 7, throw it up on Facebook, or use it as a subject. And again, it reinforces everybody that they're going to the right place. Your past patients are reminded why they like you so much when they hear you talk, when they hear you explain things. And leads and patients that will be there in the future are really impressed, and they feel more, they feel a higher level of trust with you. They feel more reassured that it's okay to come in. So I'm sure it drives up that clinic revenue outside of what you charge for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And that's it. Who doesn't need more content when it comes to what to post about on social, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the last thing is where you start to find your own voice, and you can actually copyright it or trademark it or whatever. So develop your own intellectual property is the last benefit. I mean, there's probably more, but I just have 7 today. So we have to
in honor of Vegas, right? Lucky 7.
Yes, that's right. I know you got to know your audience, right? So anyways, develop your own intellectual property is so critical because this is yours, right? Of course, it's not your own thing, but this is your thing. So imagine before Stuart McGill, there was just 3 things, and then he called it the big 3, and then now it's like it's his big 3. No one can take that away from him. But he didn't invent the big 3. It's just a collection of things that he brought all together, curated the content, and then slapped his name on it. And that's his, right? The McKenzie method was just a bunch of methods or just a bunch of ideas that he then put together and trademarked it. So now it's his. You could have a thing too. Why couldn't you? These are normal people. But they just have a process, a 1, 2, 3, a course, some sort of
I see this all the time on Instagram. You see a bunch of people who posted a bunch of videos on Instagram, and then at some point realized, man, I've posted a textbook worth of information here. Why don't I go ahead and just record a specific course for it? And people love it. They love the reassurance of it not going away, of them owning it for a long time, being able to look through specific content that really applies to them. But I also think, like, if somebody's listening here and they're just coming out of school, or maybe they're in their first couple of years of practice, if you committed to doing 1 course every 6 months while you're in practice, at the end of 10 years, you got 20 courses that you can sell for anything. Man, I don't even know if you need to go into practice. Right. Like, you could just stay at home and kick your feet up, man. You got mailbox money at that point.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing. And that should be an outcome. I mean, there should be courses about how to do courses because really, if you can solve back pain, that's a great course. If you could solve knee pain, if you could do something for triathletes of best practices, if you could do something for desk jockeys, if you could do something for
just was talking to a guy, and he is moving to Hawaii in 3 weeks. And his goal is to work on low back pain for surfers. And I was like, well, you're going to the right market. And also, what a niche. What an amazing niche. And recording a course for those people, you don't have to just sell that in Hawaii. I would imagine that anywhere that there's surfing, there's people with low back pain while they surf. And that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you basically have to carve out a niche that has a certain problem that you can solve, and then you slap your trademark on it, and that's your own thing. You could write a book about it later. You could do all kinds of stuff with it, and it's yours, and no one can take away from it, and no one can copy it.
So I want to cover that piece real quick. It's great to have a course, but one trend I'm seeing, John, and I would love to know what the antidote to this is. You're big about getting people ranked on SEO, getting customers to see their website, getting traffic there. I've seen a few people who develop a course. They put it up on Kajabi or something, which is a fine platform, but it's not up on their website. They never talk about it in their social media and stuff. And it's like this great thing sitting there. It's like this hidden diamond that they buried in their backyard,
Yeah.
So when you have this course, when people do put in the effort, what's the best thing to do with it?
Oh, it's the second half of your work is marketing it. So the image that I got is of a guy who's like limping to the finish line. And that's what building a course is. I'm not going to say it's not a lot of work, right? You're going to be tired and it's going to take a lot out of you. You're going to limp to the finish line, and then all of a sudden you're going to put your head up and you're going to be at another starting line. And that starting line is called now get the word out. Right? So getting the word out about your product, which means you have to talk about it, and nobody's going to sell your course like you will. You can incentivize your staff and you can get your spouse to share your posts and stuff, but nobody has to do the work quite like the person who created it. And it's just, I wish it was different, but it's not. It's just, you have to do the work of marketing it. It's why a lot of authors write amazing books that never make it because they don't market it. And it's just the reality is in this world when there's so much information, you will be your course's biggest advocate. And so you've got to get the word out and you've got to show up at places where people are at, whether it's online or in person.
So, I've seen websites that you've done for clients. They've got their course prominently displayed on their homepage, just saying, hey, you're working with an expert here, but if you need more reassurance, download this course or give me your email address. I'll give it to you. What are some other places we can talk about our course or announce our course, show our course, etc.?
Right. I should just tell, in all humility, that was actually an accident that we figured out that our website platform could build courses because I would have always recommended Thinkific or Kajabi or some of the stuff you could buy. But I love the idea of people having it on their homepage because people are already there, right? So they're already there. Plus, if they're spending time on your website, that's good for your SEO because Google's always tracking how long people are on your site. So having a course on your main marketing site is cool. So I'm just going to say that was something we stumbled on. There's no way we could have known that.
Happy accident, baby.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things you could do. First is you have an active audience in your practice. So all the examples that I've been using have not really been all that difficult. You have people coming in all the time, like however many patients you have on your email database or how many you have coming in actively. So you could, like I said, you can upsell every single patient by saying, here's an option for you to take this home with you. And you can download this course. It's just $50, and that's for you. Or have them share it with their network. Send out an email blast to your current patients or to your old patients to bring them back. Obviously the social stuff you can get in front of your camera and talk about it. You can have maybe you're a part of some networking, some Facebook groups, and of course you could always email them. With Josh's software. So Josh, I don't know, you're the expert with communication with patients, right? So why am I?
You did remind me to. I need to do a live read right now, so I'll do that. But while I'm doing that, why don't you think on this? I was thinking, I've done 100 times. I've gone out to talk to Kiwanis clubs and Rotary clubs and whatnot, and I would love to be able to throw out, hey, it's normally $50, but for this club, I'll give it to you for free.
Right.
I can only imagine the number of leads you get there and how much goodwill you build. I was also thinking a link in your email signature.
Oh, yeah.
On the back of your business card, hey, check out our course here. All those things that just anchor people with you. But let me do my live read real quick. So as you know, if you're listening to this podcast is sponsored by Clinic Gym Connect. Clinic Gym Connect is a communication software built around text messaging. Why do we build around text messaging? That is how people are communicating in the current times. So email was great for a while. Unfortunately, everybody gets hundreds of emails a day, looks at 5, responds to 1. Whereas with text messages, if you just look at your own habits and the habits of all your customers, they probably get 200 messages a day. They read every single one of them. They respond to almost every single one of them. So we want to have that relationship with your clinic and your patients. And the best way to do that is through text message-based communication. So Clinic Gym Connect allows for two-way based text communication. One great feature of this is within the software, we allow you to have assigned users. So you can have a front desk person, a trainer, and yourself, the clinician. When a message comes in, you can assign that conversation to one of those people. So if they're asking questions about insurance, you can assign that conversation to your front desk. So as that patient's texting back and forth, they're only talking to one person at your office, and it's the very person that they need to talk to or want to talk to. That way, it doesn't feel like a big, messy conversation with a bunch of people jumping in. So assigned conversations are just one of the many features we have within Clinic Gym Connect. If you're interested in hearing more or checking out more, go ahead and head over to clinicgymconnect.com. Again, clinicgymconnect.com, or hit me up on Facebook Messenger. Tell me you're interested, and I'd be happy to give you a demo or a walkthrough. So with that, let's get back to Jon. Jon, I'm big about communication. How important is that in marketing, by the way?
Well, I think it's brilliant, and I totally endorse what you're doing, Josh. I love the fact that you've opened up a new portal there for other than the conventional simple email. I'm thinking as a patient, myself, it's way easier just to be in touch through your phone. It's almost like you're thinking, wow, I guess my chiropractor or my clinician here, my doctor is really cool because they figured out a way to do this, rather than sending the carrier pigeon or something to let us know what's going on, or the phone or emails or whatever. But yeah, emails are overwhelming, but texts are so easy. So I love it, and just to think that you can create that or get over that barrier of conventional way. I think it's a great tool that you're creating here, and I've loved it ever since you first told me about it.
Awesome. Well, going back, thanks, John. But going back to the questions I asked you before, how else can we use this course to kind of become that authority in our area?
I think just the more and more people are passing it around, the better, right? I mean, I always often think, like, imagine if a patient loved it and then referred their friend and said, hey, I had really bad back pain, and here you can too. Or the two guys are golfing, and it's like, wow, you used to be in absolute agony by day 2 or day 3. How are you doing this? Oh, I took this course or whatever. And then they start talking about it, and it can go throughout their network too. So that's the beauty of really carving out a problem and solving it, because you own that problem. And,
John, you're old enough. Do you remember the Thai Bo with Billy Blanks?
I do, with Billy Blanks, wasn't it?
Yeah. I remember people that was the first time I saw what was a viral video. It was based on VHS tapes and DVD, but people were passing around and, oh man, you got to use this and that. And I think what I remember seeing of people passing around the DVDs of Thai Bo is what I see now electronically, this transfer of, hey, you got to watch this course, or this guy. I can just picture people talking at Thanksgiving, Christmas, out on the golf course and going, man, you got to watch this guy that I just saw on this course. He was saying why that move is all wrong, why that move hurts you, or that leads to more back pain. And, that kind of authority that gets spread by somebody other than you, that kind of secondhand authority, is so great for your business. So great.
Yeah. And that's the best marketer is a happy client, right? So
yeah. Now, John, I just want to wrap up with one final question. I mean, your company, clinicsites.co, you're building sites, you're integrating with EMRs and really trying to make it easy. For the people out there that are going, I love what these guys said. I'd love to do a course, but it's too much work. I don't know how to get it on my website. I don't know how to do anything. How easy can this be for them? Let's just assume that they're willing to record the content. So they're willing to record themselves and they're, the Morrison method, the 6 steps to better back pain or less back pain. Once they have those recordings, which can be shot on an iPhone for God's sakes, after they have that, how hard is it to get this up on your site?
Yeah, I would just say iPhone plus a microphone too. The audio is actually, people are way more shallow about how you sound and how you look. So that's just a freebie. Make sure you have some sort of microphone that's close to you so that it doesn't catch the echo and everything. Yeah. Okay. So I actually realized that it would be unfair of me to say a course is so awesome and then not provide a step-by-step guide to get there. So the other company that I own is called Get Clear, and maybe people know me as the guy from Get Clear Consulting, and they do well to know that. Get Clear really is the thinking behind this, is where we provide some of the how-tos of how to build it. So we have a landing page. It's called getclear.ca/online course creator. Getclear.ca/online course creator. Of course, Josh, I'll send you that link that people can go to, and then they can just learn about everything to take the course and just guide them through everything of how to build it. And then we have another course about how to build it on our platform. So there's like a real nuts and bolts, like here's how to do it. You can do it. And the reason why I did that is because like a lot of our clients will be listening to this and they didn't even know that they could have a course creator on their website. But I've shown them how to do it now. And then I think that the thing that's important is that it'll save them, having to pay Kajabi. Like I think their lowest plan is $115. So if someone wants to pay not $115 and just wants to pay the $40 to get it going on our platform, either Clinic Sites or Get Clear, they can do that. So that's I think a way to show some savings and add some value to their website, and it keeps people on the site. That's what I really love. It's good for their SEO that way.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're talking about creating a course, and you have a course about creating a course.
That's right.
And then a course about building a course on how to create a course. Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio?
That's right. Just
a dream within a dream within a dream.
That's right. And trying to explain it to my wife when I was filming it or putting it together, it's like, so you're doing a course on a course about a course? Mm-hmm. Yes, of course.
Awesome. Well, Jon, I really appreciate it. Throw out that website one more time for the free course.
For sure. It's getclear.ca/online course creator.
Okay.
Getclear.ca
so I just want to be
online course creator.
I just want to get clear with everybody. It's getclear.ca/ and then all one word, online course creator.
Yeah. And I think there's dashes in between the online and course and creator. But anyways, they'll see the link wherever this is posted, I'm sure. And they can always reach out to me and I can send them the link. But that's the best I can do. Maybe we'll put it on the homepage too to check it out to make it easier.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I love it. Well, Jon, this has been a slice of heaven. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate what you're doing for the really great chiropractors out there that maybe aren't getting the message out and therefore aren't getting the patients that'll be well served by having them as their chiropractor. So, man, you're fighting the good fight. I appreciate everything you do for our people. And with that, I just want to say thank you. And thank you for everybody listening. The goal of Clinic Gym Hybrid is to make sure that the best version of chiropractic is being represented, which we know is offering exercise to every single patient. So my goal in 2021, Jon, is to create more clarity around what we do and how we do it. But let me end by saying the line that we say at the end, which is go out there, maximize your license, and live the life you dream of. Thanks so much, Jon.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate all you're doing as well.
Thanks so much for checking out these videos. I hope they're useful. We'll cover things like rehab, exercise, business model, progressions, layout, everything else that helps you build a clinic. So if you're interested, you can click here, there, here, or anywhere to get more videos just like this. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you soon.